Hi, it's me, Angela. Just joining you guys. Sorry that I'm late. I was having some technical difficulties, but I'm excited to be joining you guys today for another one of my virtual tastings. Today, I will be tasting Louis Boulat, which is a rosé brut, which I'm excited because this particular sparkling wine is one of my favorites. It actually makes me feel super. Hi, it's me,
So,
Angela. Just joining you guys. Sorry that I'm late. So as you can see, I'm excited to be here. I wanted to get into a theme, the sexy theme, because I'm going to have Krystal Tantric Yogi joining me today. And we're going to be discussing how we can increase intimacy during COVID. There's so many couples that are, in isolation together. They're quarantining together for the first time ever, spending so much time with each other. And, I just felt like it was probably a time for a conversation. The weather is getting nice, the summer's starting to break. Single people are going to go outside and start flirting and meeting each other. So I wanted to create a conversation and space for us to figure out how we can build more intimate relationships during this time of COVID. So I want to have Krystal join me. Hey, Krystal, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. You look amazing.
Thank you, as do you.
Thanks. So I just want to kind of give some background about how we actually end up meeting because I reached out to you on Instagram. So a good friend of mine, Jamie Smith, she's actually a life coach. We were both approaching 40 this past 2019, and it was springtime, and we were just talking about what our goals were, how we're going to approach this new season of life. And one of the things that she challenged me to do was to become more feminine. And I was like, I'm a woman, like that's innate, right? That's natural. But girl, little did I know I had some learning to do. and in that process, I said I was going to tap into my divine feminine sensual energy. And in doing that, I, just started doing a lot of research. I started, reading articles, following pages on social media that really resonated with me and inspired me. And I came across your page. So you've been along my a journey of, tapping into that space and creating intimacy in my life. So I wanted to share that with my followers this evening as we drink some wine.
Yeah, perfect.
So do you want to start by like just, sharing with the audience, a little bit about yourself and how you got to become a Tantra coach and yogi?
Yeah, and thanks again for having me on. Yeah, I'm Krystal. And how did I get to be a tantric yogi and tantra coach? Well, long story short, I used to be an athlete and I had some injuries along the way that related to my hips. I also moved around a lot and I had children and I decided to be a stay at home mom. And so between those two things, I was kind of searching for my life path and trying to figure out, okay, my career didn't quite go like I thought it was going to go. So I need something. And I like being an athlete. And that was always I don't know, like my thing, to
Mhm.
run and to be athletic. And I came across yoga, and it was mentally very soothing. It was also very different from the intense workouts that I had did. I started to, I don't know, to be really competitive, like with marathons and things like that. And I ended up getting injured, and yoga was the one thing that kind of helped me heal. A lot of my injuries surrounded my hips, and what I found out is I had some imbalances in my hips. I had SI joint dysfunction. For any of you who might know what that is. Um, and while I was getting really serious about my yoga practice, a lot of suppressed sexual energy started to come up, and also some dreams started to come up for me that were kind of sexual in nature. And it wasn't about me being extremely horny, but it was more like like it unlocked kind of this feminine energy in me that was always there, but just kind of even more so. Oh, what happened to Angie? Or did you leave? Am
I'm
I by
still here.
myself?
I just wanted to give you a moment to continue your story.
I was on a platform like this the last interview I did, and she did the same thing. I'm like, because I'm used to other platforms, I'm like, okay, she's gone and she's still there, but okay, all right.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of give you a moment to kind of tell your story and have people follow you.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it unlocked a lot of feminine energy in me, and so as I kind of kept going down this rabbit hole of yoga and trying to heal my hips and what was this newfound feminine sensual energy that was coming up naturally on its own. I wasn't seeking it. I started to, I guess, do research and explore and ask people, what is this in connection to yoga? And eventually led me to yoni eggs with vaginal eggs. I don't know if y'all know if your audience knows what vaginal eggs are, but uh, they are crystals and natural stones that are shaped into eggs to insert into your vagina to help strengthen your pelvic floor, also strengthen at least tone up your vaginal walls, increase your agility, increase lubrication. It also has because they're natural stones and crystals, they help with the energetic healing of the womb and the yoni. And that's a ancient Chinese practice, a jaded practice. And so I had got into those, but mainly for the physical part. And a lady who was selling the eggs to me, I was kind of telling her my story. And she said, you should consider working with my mentor. And her mentor ended up being a Tantra teacher or a Tantra teacher. And that's how I got into Tantra. And so I continued my yoga. And I just kind of started to blog about my Tantra experience along with the yoga through Instagram because I didn't have anybody else to share it with. And then I kind of garnered a following from there, and I've started to develop a business from there.
Well, congratulations. I mean, it's definitely an inspiring business. I'm definitely wouldn't consider myself a yogi, but I do believe in the healing powers of yoga. And, it's helped me with my knees, definitely helping me with opening up my hips and joints in a very, progressive way. And like you said, in a way in which is more connected to your spirit and mindfulness, because I think that's so important for us right now.
Yeah.
So what do you have? What are you drinking over there?
This is it's like a red sparkling wine. I think it's almost like a red champagne or something. I don't know a lot about wines. I usually drink a port wine, but I
Okay.
decided to do something different because this is a little bit lighter. Port is a little bit heavier. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's like a sweet red sparkling wine, or it might be like more of a champagne, like a red champagne or something.
Okay, so that's good because we're both drinking sparkling. And
Yeah.
typically, so with port wines, those are typically, sweet, right? They're like more of a dessert wine. So this particular wine that I'm drinking is a rosé brut, so it's a little bit on the drier side.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually made in France. So, I'm excited about that because, it's the summertime, it's bubbly, and I think it's kind of, a fun way for us to, like Jasmine says, make us feel sexy.
Yeah, that's why I chose it too. That's why I
And
chose
so,
my wine.
yeah, and so this particular one is from our Louis Bolat collection. So I don't know if you know, Krystal, but I'm actually a part of a wine society group as a wine ambassador with Both Collection. And so what we have here is one of our, French sparkling selections, which I really like because, it's something that I can't get in my neighborhood here in Harlem.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And it gets
Mm-hmm.
delivered straight to my door. And I remember the first time I had this, it was like in the midst of quarantine, I was lonely, in isolation. I'm single. And I just remember, yeah, okay, well, soon, hopefully, when this is all over, we won't be single anymore, especially after talking about our tips tonight when it comes to like building.
I just got out of a marriage, so I don't mind being single and mingling. I don't mind being single at all. But
Okay,
yeah,
well,
I do want to get some still. So
right. Right. Exactly. So I just feel as though like right now, I don't know. I just feel like I want to enjoy this wine, teach people more about it, but then also really talk about, this COVID dating, because right now it's like we're in this place where people are out here, on dating apps, they're like doing these virtual dates, but it's like you're getting all these suggestions from media and press on how to go about doing it, right?
Right. Yeah.
How are
Yeah.
you holding up?
Remember I told you I was just in New York last weekend
Mm-hmm.
looking for apartments, and I actually went on a couple of dates. So very
Mm-hmm.
appropriate now that we're on this topic, and I actually had a very nice evening. Now I do, like depending on how I guess cautious you are about COVID-19, I guess you have to be careful. But for what happened with me is that we were talking online first, and then he kind of invited me for an early dinner, and I felt comfortable with him.
Mm-hmm.
So what we did is we met in the park. We hung out in Union Square for a little while, and the energy was good. And then he had a really nice place there, and he ordered dinner for us, and he had a salad, and then he ordered from his favorite restaurant, and we sat and talked, and we had a lovely evening, and we talked for. I brought like a little card game for us to play where we ask questions and everything, and it was a lot of fun. So I think that as long as you're protecting yourself and you make sure whoever that you're dating is okay, you still could meet up. But I think the thing is when you're meeting someone new, you want to make sure the vibe feels really well, even when you're meeting online. Like if women have an intuition, you know what I'm saying, and listen to it. If there's anything a guy says that seems off or doesn't really sit well with you, do not meet up with him. Don't lower your standards just because you feel like, oh, I haven't met anybody in a long time, and
That's important.
you know, yeah, like
That's
no,
important.
just right. Like you should be excited to go out with him. It shouldn't be like I'm doing this because he's asked me a million times. Like you want to be excited, you want to have something to look forward to. And so, like I think that's number one. I think sometimes like we were talking about getting in touch with our femininity and our sensuality. When we do that, we have more of a sense of what we like and what makes us feel good. And so our intuition is sharper, especially when it comes to meeting people and deciding, okay, is this guy worth actually physically meeting or
Right.
even engaging with on the internet or online or whatever? When we get a sense of what makes us feel, sexy or what makes us feel good or what taps into our desires, we usually have a better radar for who to pick, in order to, date and stuff like that.
That's well said because I feel like, throughout my life, sometimes my dating circumstances just end up kind of like falling into them, right? It's not necessarily something where I'm like leveraging all my senses, feeling super mindful. It's like sometimes, an act of convenience to my fault, And I think right now, a lot of people in this day and age aren't committing as much as they used to. We have this cancel culture that's taking place. So many of my friends that are single, and a lot of us are balancing careers, super ambitious. And I think one of the things that made me realize that intimacy had to be a part of it and an intentional part of it was approaching 40 and having that realization that I'm single, I don't have kids, like I don't have a family, like what's going to be my traditions, as I move throughout my life. But then it's like COVID hits and now I feel like everybody's starting to have those thoughts, huh?
Right, which I think is great. It's frustrating for sure, and I've been there, but I think it gives you an opportunity to sit back and be like, okay, what is it that I really want? Like I grappled for a long time. Do I want to move to New York? It's so expensive, blah blah blah. There's a million reasons not to move there. But then when I really sat back and I thought about, what is it that I really want? And then I was able to go up there. It's like I need to just go up there and see,
Yeah.
make sure, and take the time and not rush the decision. And I was like, oh yeah, this is exactly what I want to do because I took the time and was mindful about what I was doing. We make so many unconscious decisions,
Yes.
and I
Yes.
think that at least that's one thing that this pandemic can do, can make us more intentional and mindful about all of our decisions. And so, like, I'm glad you brought that up about dating because I was just on a podcast where I was talking to some guys and he was like, I have a hard time, thinking about hiring a coach to help me with my sex life. And, he's like trying to get past that. And he was like, how do I get over that? And I was like, well, we need to understand that dating, lovemaking, sensuality, you know, that's an art form, and and it needs to be studied like a discipline. If we have really poor education, and then on top of that, through the media, through porn, we are being conditioned to think a certain way. Sometimes we need assistance in being able to be successful in that area of our life. Doesn't necessarily mean you need a coach, but you need to be mindful and intentional
Yeah.
about it, just like you would any other area of your life, in order to be successful at it. You know, like you were saying, sometimes you date out of convenience. Guys know that. They know if I stick around long enough, like I may not even have to put enough effort.
Persistence, girl. They be persistent, don't they?
Yeah, but they may not even be persistent like in a good way. Like they might just make sure they call. They may not even offer you anything. They may not even have anything of interest to say to you, but they just know if they keep coming around, eventually you might give in. You know what I'm saying? So like we need to be intentional about what type of energy we even accept, blocking people off that really are not feeding our soul, or really aligning with what we want. But we have to know what we want. So we have to be intentional about knowing what makes us feel good. You know what I'm saying? So I think it really does start there.
I'm still here. I think my computer and my Wi-Fi signal is kind of like tripping out a little bit. I think so. Just to kind of touch on that, because you did make a good point. Like, as we are, dating and we're exploring, being intentional, being, feeling our spirit and being mindful. So, I mean, as we kind of just approach the topic of increasing intimacy through COVID, how would you define intimacy, and how does intimacy kind of work within your realm of tantric coaching?
Yeah, attention. Well, I think intimacy, I guess it can mean a lot of different things for different people, but I think when you're starting with yourself, it's about vulnerability and openness, and a reciprocity, if it's with someone else, especially, but being able to give and receive openly without a lot of hesitation or a lot of expectations, just kind of open to the moment and experiencing the moment, but also just feeling really confident and feeling really in tune with your most authentic self. I think intimacy, yeah, it's about authenticity. A lot of us are wearing masks, literally and figuratively. It's about our job, it's about our hair, it's about our big ass, or our breasts, or it's about our job. What do you do? But how are you really feeling? What are your dreams? What makes you want to get up in the morning? How do you feel about things that turn you on? Things that are orgasmic, and it doesn't always have to be. Do you like eating pussy and stuff like that? It might be. It might be. I love the smell of flowers. I love, deep conversations and the things that you talk about, the things that you're passionate about. So when you can get from a place of that's just surface, and get to a place of sharing things that are really authentically who you are, you know, and sometimes that can be a vulnerable place, things that you've had a hard time with, whatever. Not that you want to like be a soapbox with somebody you're meeting for the first time, but just being able to be really, really authentic, maybe sharing something that you might be a little scared of being judged about. But if you feel confident and you know who you are, it's easier to do that. And people appreciate that because they're not used to people doing that. But that's what creates real intimacy, I think. That's how you cultivate intimacy.
I love it. I love it. And thank you for that, because I think sometimes we take intimacy for granted, right? I think it's easy for us to take it for granted. I actually found this meme that I thought would be a great presentation for today, and this talks about healing, and just how a lot of people, have been traumatized, have been broken over the years, and through relationships, and it just keeps getting passed down and passed down after each relationship, and people just don't heal from it, and they haven't figured it out. And I just felt like, this meme kind of encapsulates a little bit of what we're going to talk about today, because it's like COVID is really pushing people's boundaries. It's making people really look at themselves in the mirror. And I don't know, with you, like how are you coping, or what kind of tools are you doing to help your clients cope during this time? Or have you seen any trends of like similar issues or challenges that you have to work through with your clients?
Yeah, I actually have not been taking a lot of clients because I'm in transition. I just got divorced and I'm in the
Mhm.
process of getting ready to move and all this stuff. But I really think during this time, just what I'm seeing with people in general is that there is this sense of loneliness in this time where either people are going to experience a lot of anxiety, which they might still, regardless, like we're all experiencing certain anxieties because there's so many uncertainties. But I also find that this is an opportunity to really reflect and figure out, what it is that once this is over, like what do you want to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, what, and so it's an opportunity to really think, not just coast through life. You know what I'm saying? And so um writing down goals and making a plan and being just intentional, doing things like meditation,
Yes.
self-care,
Yeah.
figuring out what it is that really cultivates, a healthy relationship with yourself, with your body. Some
Mhm.
of us, like me, we might be gaining weight and stuff, but you have some people that are getting in shape, they're
Yeah.
making goals. It just depends, and I think that once like we are saying with the meme, is you focus and heal on yourself and figure out what you want and you stick to that. Once you start dating and getting out,
Mhm.
more, you'll more than likely you'll be less likely to kind of tolerate, things that are below what you've decided you want for
Absolutely.
yourself, because you've gone through so much. You're like, oh my gosh, it took me forever to get here. Now
Mhm.
that I'm here, I'm not going to settle for less. And you have to make the decision that that's what you want, because as long as you keep opening up to the same stuff, it'll keep coming to you.
Woo! Girl, you preaching right now. I have some of my friends there in here. My friend Edith, she said, "Wow, a word! You are speaking the truth." My friend Johnny, he's like, "We're in church right now," so this is really
uh,
resonating with people. And I really want to kind of even hit on it, right? I mean, for me, I just moved to a new city. I'm living alone. I'm in quarantine. Okay,
mhm.
so right now, I'm just trying to figure out, like, I've been having to cope. It's been stages of coping for me, like I feel like, I started off with like depression, not knowing, having this overwhelming sense of uncertainty, not just when it comes to relationships, but just life, survival
Right.
101 type of thing, right? When it comes
Yeah.
to like, making your money and, you
Mhm.
know, seeing family. And then you go
Right.
through these cycles, because after you emerge from the the clouds, you're like, okay, I need to connect, I need to see people, I need to do video calls, and I think during that process is when I started feeling inspired, so
Mhm.
and I realized that in those moments of reconnecting with some of my friends, there were some real intimate moments that took
Right.
place, and
Right.
some real serious conversations that maybe over the years we never really kind of like had the pleasure of tapping into. But because of
Right.
the rawness of the time and of course now with the uprising, I think people are just super like, authentic right now.
Right. Yeah. And that gives you the opportunity to cultivate intimacy. And like, people should think of, even, just like they write down goals for their business. And I know you had talked about, you had a bucket list of things that you want to do once you turn 40. Like, you can do the same thing with your relationships and your sex life.
Hmm.
If there's certain things that you would like to experience, you can write down, your wildest dreams, whatever they might be sexually. And not that you're going to do all of them, but just putting them down and feeling confident and unashamedly like saying, you know what, especially if it's just you looking at it, this is my wildest fantasy. And maybe you don't go all the way, maybe you do one day, but you write it down and you give yourself the right to pleasure, like you prioritize it, because it's really important, for us to incorporate that side of our life, or life has no zest. It's hard to want to keep going. It's hard to want to stay inspired to keep doing stuff. Even our creativity is fueled by our sexual
Hmm.
energy. So, like, write, things down that you want to do. And I think that once we get more comfortable just expressing it, even with ourselves, this is why they say, self cultivation or self pleasure is so important, because
Yeah.
once you know your body and you get used to it, looking at it in the mirror, being able to see your curves or whatever it is, is something beautiful. When you get in the bedroom with somebody, it's a little bit easier to come in there with confidence. And really, when it comes to relationships, it's not always the physicality, it's more the energy, it's the fluidness, it's your confidence, it's your authenticity that's going to turn
Absolutely.
somebody on, whether you're a man or a woman. And so getting used to expressing your sensuality, either it's writing down, what you want to do and what turns you on, or if it's I would like to buy this. Maybe I'll try this lingerie. Maybe I'll try this new bra. Maybe I'll try, a skirt that I've never worn that's a little bit
Yes,
short. Because, yeah, tapping into that
that is
before you go
beautiful.
out, and start connecting might help. I mean, for me, even just the stuff I did on social media, like, got me more comfortable with myself. And then when I, like, I didn't walk around naked, when I go out on dates, but because I'm comfortable with the things that I share, like, I used to share a lot of nude yoga, actually, like maybe a year or two ago. I've toned it down a little bit, but I still, I do yoga, my underwear and all this stuff. And so when I go out, I'm a little bit more comfortable, and not because I'm not doing it for attention. I'm doing it to express who I am as a
Yes.
woman. I'm
Just like we're
39.
expressing ourselves right now.
Right. Yeah. So it's gonna be easier to be your more authentic, sensual self when you go out, because you're not playing games. You're not doing it to impress. You know what your boundaries are. You know what you feel comfortable with, because you've already kind of tested the waters, in your house. And so when you go out, it comes off more authentic, and that's what's attractive to people.
Absolutely. And I want to just, because I have a friend that I want to bring in, Jamie. But before I bring her, I just want to kind of give you some context, because I mentioned, when I started this whole process of turning 40, one of the biggest things on my list was tapping into my divine, feminine, sensual energy. And you hit every little thing on the head when it came to what that meant and what that looked like for me. And I've noticed an extreme difference in my confidence just by being more aware and present, and like you've been saying, and I think people are going to realize this throughout the conversation, is intention, intention, intention. That's the most important thing, right? And so when my friend Jamie reached out to me, like we were actually, I don't know, I think she was twisting my hair because she hooked me up with the locks. And I don't know, Jamie, you wanna chime in here? What is this? I mean,
Oh,
hey,
hi. I was like, I've been listening, and then I've been like tapping in.
This is me, Krystal. Krystal, this is the homie, Jamie.
Hi, Krystal.
Hi,
Krystal,
Jamie.
you've been nailing it. You've been nailing it right on the tip.
Thank
Not on
you.
the head, on the tip.
Just a tip.
Just that tip. You've been hitting it perfectly.
Isn't she amazing?
I aim to please.
Yes, don't we? Don't we? If it's not pleasing us, why do it, right? Yes.
Right.
So Jamie,
Yes.
I know because you were the one who kind of made me kind of recognize, like, tapping into that feminine space, directed me on the journey I needed to go on as I came into 40. I mean, both, me and you were hand in hand walking across that, age threshold together. And,
Right.
and I felt like it only made sense for you to join in this conversation, to share what made you, for one, tell me that, and then two, how have you been working on intimacy throughout, your life right now, especially during COVID?
It's a secret. So it's just us here, right? No.
Yeah, it's just us. It's just us.
And Facebook.
Look. Let me sip the and then we're gonna start. No. For me, I believe like everything has an essence of a journey, and to me, the 20s was an interesting journey. The 30s was an interesting journey. And I felt something about hitting the 40s with ultimate femininity and sexuality, because the feminine is not necessarily equaling sexuality. It's also understanding your femininity to know how to present your sexuality in the way that you can, receive it in the right way for what you're trying to attain. So for me, I had my daughter in my 20s, and she's now 12 years old. And it was interesting because I felt when I hit my 40s, it was like repeating my 20s. Crazy, right? So most people are like, what? But I mean that with the ultimate feminine wisdom, though, you know. But I say that because a lot of things that we did in our 20s, you know, most people did have children. Maybe in their 30s, they might have gotten married or something of that nature. And so when you hit your 40s, and this is not for everyone, but for me, it was a representation of when I hit my 40s, I was very clear on what I needed for me, not what someone else could do for me, but what I needed to please myself. You know, I knew how to stand in that with the ultimate confidence without someone needing to tell me. I was just very clear on that. And so I felt like, you know what? I've had my child. I've put my dues in for longevity of relationship. You know, I'm like, the one that approaches me, in order for the woman to be in her point of the femininity, she must, you know, be very confident in her past, you know, because it's all a process to lead her up to then understanding her sensuality and sexuality. So, and when 40 hit, it was just like, let's do this. Let's step into that mode. Let's step into our position, you know, as divine women and receive, you know, because we're confident in where we've already went and we're confident on where we're going. And it's like, let's go. You know, I feel so free, you know, and bringing up the whole, what's COVID been like? It's like, again, you know, it's only time with yourself right now. So I think if people haven't upped that self-care and got in tune with all the ugly, the beauty, the, you know, all the ins and outs of understanding themselves. I mean, you're looking at your house all day, you redo, it's just a redesign from the interior of your body to the exterior of your body, inside your house. I mean, you're doing all the interior design for every aspect. So it's just been, it's been kind of fun. You know, I would say it's been fun to feel this place, you know, in the feminine. And it's just like, I am so into the whole, you know, hearing you, Krystal, today, because it's like, as you sit at home with yourself, you really get in tune. Also, you tune back to that sexuality, because not only are you yearning for that touch, you know, depending on, you know, what type of love angle you are. Like, some people like touch, some people like gifts. I like touch. Touch has been very important. So I'm like, let me touch on myself. Okay, hug yourself, kiss yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, tell yourself, damn, you fine today. You know, I mean, give yourself those things that we're so used to receiving from the external. And it's just, I'm in that place of like, give me all the tea, all the tips on, you know, how to please oneself. You know what I'm saying? How to hit that point, hit that you know, look, there ain't, when it ain't no word for it, you just like,
That's real, Jamie. That's real.
I mean, like, you know, when you don't have a word for it, it doesn't need a word. It's just a feeling. And it's like, for me right now, this is the ultimate time that we could be giving ourselves that, you know, there's that feel good. What can we do to give that to ourselves, you know? And so I'm here for that.
Are you talking about like orgasms?
I'm talking about that too. That too. Put it up, right? Yes. Go deeper than the tip. Yes. Hit the spot, Krystal. Hit the spot.
Yeah. You know, this really is a great time for us to just educate ourselves,
right,
as women and men, because there's so many men that don't know what they're doing. Like, but especially for women.
It's only us here. It's okay.
Okay, ladies, before we go down that road too far, I do have a man, and I did want to bring some male perspective in here. Are y'all cool with that? Because I don't know. Yeah. Hey, Wes, how you doing, Wes?
Good evening, Jamie. Good evening, Krystal. Good evening, Angie. How you ladies doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I've been sitting here listening to the tea, and man, oh man, we need a little bit of male energy, just a little bit of male energy right now.
Always,
you got the floor.
No,
because
I
want it to be, you know, dual-sided, and I feel like in order for real intimacy to happen, you have to have the masculine and the feminine.
Absolutely. I mean, so let me start off by saying that COVID has been a blessing in disguise. It has been a blessing. As a man, things that I didn't have time to do, I have immersed myself tremendously in it. My personal brand, my personal self, mending relationships with my ex-wife to co-parent, which was really,
This
really.
is a very mature man, because some men are masturbating from 12 p.m. to 9
No,
p.m.
no.
Krystal, he didn't say he wasn't doing that. He didn't say no.
Okay, ladies, we can't hold up, ladies. We can't do that to Wes now.
No. You know what? No, it's fine. I'm here for it. I'm here for it, right? I have a beautiful black queen that I get to enjoy on a regular basis. So
Wonderful.
I mean, I enjoy that part, right? But when it comes to self-care, I think COVID, for a lot of men, and I'll speak for myself, and I'm not gonna speak for the whole male population, it has allowed for self-care. Sundays are my day. I unplug, I moisturize, I shave, take care of my beard, I meditate, I write, I work on my business plans, I drink wine and champagne, as Anggg would definitely know. So it's part.
Where's your wine at right now? You got something?
Listen, it's not cold yet, so I didn't want to pop up with a warm bottle of champagne, because I've been on the champagne kick, right? But when it comes to self-care, I think that for men and women, black people particularly, I'm very much about my African American brothers and sisters. I think this time has definitely been a humongous blessing in disguise, and it's okay if you don't do anything. It is really okay. However, if you are in a position to self-care better, whether it's your hustle, your business, or if it's just working out, do something. The time is now. We're not gonna get this time back, right? So when it comes to a relationship standpoint, there are couples who don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't know, because normally we have a business day of where we spend 8 to 12 hours a day at work. So to now spend 8 to 12 hours with our partner at home, we're like, what's going on? Like, what are we doing?
Right.
And I just literally put up a statistic about that. I mean, 29% of couples are saying they're actually satisfied with that increased number of quality time.
Exactly. So for me, my girlfriend and I live together, and it has allowed me to see her in a very different way. She's essential, so she's been working from day one. So I see her. So I see her as a professional now. So I can see how her mind thinks. She's brilliant. She's absolutely brilliant. But also too, I see the nuances that I didn't see before, that I didn't have time to take care of. Right. So as a man, or even as a black man, our natural tendency is to want to fix everything. So this self-care time has forced me to sit back and just watch, and just not say anything. Take notes, observe, and at the end of, let's say 6-7 day period, I'm like, yo, shorty, let me holler at you real quick. So I seen you did something, and I got questions. And the good thing about that moment for us right now is brought us closer, number one. It's allowed me to show her herself from my perspective, because she didn't see it. But also, too, it's forced me to work on my love languages as it pertains to her. Right? So my love languages are physical touch and quality time. And she's well aware of this. But I also know that one thing that COVID has taught me about myself is that I enjoy my personal time by myself. Like, I need it.
Yeah.
Whether it's a drive, whether I wait for her to go to bed and I'm up from 12 to 6 in the morning, doing stuff and just being silent. And I think a lot of the big part of this is that we're not taking the time to be silent, because a lot is going on right now. A lot is going on.
That's true.
Black men are dying. Couples are being ravished left and right, and we forget to just be quiet and just take it all in. So for me personally, I've got the chance to basically, I turn off my TV, I have a glass of wine, I might finish a bottle or two, but just be quiet and just sit in it and just reflect on what's going on. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, Wes, this is me, Angela. So one of the things because you're talking about, being, having your quality time, but then also having that balance of your, your personal time, right? And just sitting in stillness and just, kind of processing everything that's going on. But when we talk about like increasing intimacy, I think, that also includes communicating. And right now they're saying, only 18% of couples are satisfied with the communication during this pandemic. So
for me, that probably would be triple. Like, I talk for a living, right? My girlfriend talks for a living, so we communicate to the umpteenth degree. However, communication changes when you're in your space of intimacy. Like, we're not working anymore. Like, I'm not getting paid to listen to you. I'm not getting paid for you to talk to me. Like, I want to know who you are, and that's a different kind of communication that requires a different kind of language, right? So really quickly, I'm divorced, and one of the biggest things that my divorce taught me is to be quiet. Is to be quiet.
You like to talk because you talk for a living.
Right. Because you can easily talk as a salesperson by trade. I've been in sales for 25 years. I'm 42. I'm paid to talk. Like, I can say a mad shit. I could just say it, but I never got a chance to listen. And one of the biggest things that my previous relationship taught me is that I just talk too much. So being with a talker, I'm real talk, right? So being with a talker at age 42 and my girlfriend at the same time, it forced me to change it forced me to kind of just be in tune mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, sexually, especially sexually, because you're now with the person who you see on a regular basis. Like, okay, wait a minute, we're not scheduling sex Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I have the potential to get sex every night, Sunday through Saturday, if I play my cards right. But all I gotta do is be quiet.
So, Krystal,
that's just real. That's
I
really
want you to respond to Wes. I mean, not in like a, this is a learning, nurturing environment, but I just feel like, as a tantric tantric yogi and coach, I just feel like you might be able to provide Wes with some suggestions or some tips if Wes is open to them.
Yeah, I think he hasn't said that he's had any trouble. So I would say
you got it all figured out, huh, Wes? You got it all figured out?
No, not at all. I mean, some days, a lot of my time sitting quiet is trying to figure the things that I can't figure out. Right? Communication. As somebody who communicates,
communicating about what specifically?
Emotions. Like, I'm very transparent. I can take constructive criticism well, and it's okay to be wrong, right? So if my girlfriend, for example, decides that she doesn't want to be intimate, I can't be into my feelings because that's my need, right? However, her saying no is not a slight on me. It just may mean that she needs some time. Like, she needs her time. My girlfriend is also an empath, so with all that she takes in emotionally, I have to be sensitive to what she needs and have her recharge.
Yeah, I think too, just to cut in real quick, depending on, because most women I feel like are very sexual, even if they may not think that they are, but sexuality doesn't always have to be penis and vagina.
Correct.
Maybe intimacy can mean a massage. Maybe it means you rub her feet one night and then you just let her be. Maybe you give her a full body massage and you let her be. Maybe you cook and feed her, put a blindfold on her, give her favorite foods. I think the creativity sometimes can inspire a woman to be more intimate, but it's more the kind of feminine side of sexuality. And the feminine side of sexuality might mean you eat a pussy and say, okay, babe, you can go to sleep. And then she's revved up in the morning and she wants to have sex. It just depends. You have to take the time to get to know your woman. And she may also need the time to explore, what is that she actually wants. Because I think a lot of times we're conditioned as women to think that we should enjoy some A, B, C, and D. We should respond like this with a big to this or that. And we might not even want that, but we've seen that so many times, and men too. But I think when it comes to TV, media, porn, it caters more to the masculine side of sexuality, and not that can be enjoyable for women as well. But I don't think media shows what women could enjoy more. And so she might need the time to explore that. And maybe you could help with, instead of let everything be about exploring every sensation, creating every sensation on every other area of her body except her genitals. And that might make her more interested more often. That might be a different way of communicating through your
that's actually a great point you said. And then one of the key things that I did learn about my girlfriend, or just about myself at this particular point in time, is that it's not always going to be about me. It's not about you.
Amen.
Right. And it's not right. There are certain times where she may want to get intimate, not necessarily sexually. And it's her way of saying, listen, I want to bring you in. And if it gets there, that's great. But a lot of times I think, and I'll say this as a man, generally speaking, so for all the guys who are on here, I'm going to say this. We tend to make it about us a lot. And sometimes it ain't got shit to do with us. Nothing. Zero, zilch, nada. Right? And that shows intimacy because now you're foregoing your self-pleasure to allow your partner to succeed in whatever facet that intimacy may mean to you. And that's just what it's about. So it's a learning process. It's really a learning process. And you have to allow yourself to make the mistakes, be open to constructive criticism that's not going to be a detriment to your relationship. Just because you don't bust a nut don't mean your relationship is over. It does not. It's not. It does not happen, right? Sometimes it just means that you have to try again to find out how to get to that place. And we have to sometimes learn to mentally stimulate before we can get that physical satisfaction as well.
Oh, for most women, yeah, that's the case. You need to mentally, emotionally stimulate.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is a lot of couples right now are making it a priority, right, to deepen their emotional connection. So that's a good thing. So we talk about, spending time, discovering new things about each other. And I think, Krystal, you made some great points when it comes to just the act of intimacy and sensuality. It doesn't necessarily just have to be straight directly penetration. It can be doing those sweet things like cooking a food, blindfolding, playing a game. I think you mentioned some cards earlier. So I think, those are some of the things that people should aspire to when we go into this next phase. And, and I think, to be honest with y'all, my goal with this conversation is to stop this non-committal culture that's been going on. Like, I want people to really take this conversation and really feel like, especially after COVID, like, it should be a priority for us to have a life partner. I think, for me and a lot of people that I know, people just take relationships and, having a significant other for granted. And I feel like COVID is proving to us right now that having a life partner is essential. I mean, white people, they know this, everybody else knows this, and they get married at a very young age. Not saying that we need to. The whole premise of the importance of partnership, whether it's for wealth building, creating a family, mental health, having support system, partnership, all of that. I just am a proponent for that.
That's actually a great point. I think we have not been taught the benefits of a partner culturally, right? So it's something that we're not taught. For me to explain to my mom right now, at the age of 42, that I live with my girlfriend, she's like, so when y'all getting married? I'm like, Mom, it doesn't mean that I'm not going to. Right now, my partner and I have not decided. So I owe my partner that conversation to say, yo, listen, do you want to get married or not? But that's me and my partner. So that's where that intimate connection lies. Mm-hmm. So
that's where I was going to jump in, is that I think tying in partnership, everything, I'm taking it back to how we started this. Everything starts with self. And a lot of us haven't had time to really tap into ourselves. Mm-hmm. So let alone understand how to develop and cultivate a strong, healthy relationship, one that we haven't even had ourselves. So sometimes we're looking for other people to define or give answers to these blocked areas that we haven't even tapped into ourselves. Right. And that's a problem. And then, we do start these relationships. We move in with people before having real needed conversations like, why are we moving in together? What is my intention? Is my intention to marry you, or is my intention just because, I needed somebody to help me pay these bills, and I got to be honest with you. And you know what? Sex was pretty cool, and I didn't but I traveled a lot, so I didn't think I would spend that much time with you anyway. And now that I am with this COVID, whoa, hold on. And people asking me, are we getting married? That was never even my thought. But she kind of fine. It's like we have these discussions, but we don't have these discussions. And for me, if anything, culturally, that's what we got to get back to as the male and the female, is being see, he left. See, that's what I'm saying.
I took him out because I just take care of. I didn't want him to be out.
No, I'm still here. My partner asked me. My partner asked me, "Can we eat without you?"
Cut off people quick. See, she
and
was
I said,
cut people off, and she cut them off. Cancel culture.
I'm sorry, y'all.
No, it's okay.
Did your partner have something to say? Because she could come on now. We it's all love.
No. She was asking me, can she eat without me? And I said yes. So one of the things that we do, we eat together. Okay. That's one of the things that's so. So that was one of the things. So I didn't mean to cut you off, Jamie, because you're saying something really, really important.
No, I was just saying, so, a lot of understanding relationships, part of the communication and partnering is first having those conversations with ourselves. What are our intentions? What is the purpose of starting things? And sometimes, like I said, individually, even with ourselves, before we partner with somebody else, do you know why you're doing what you're doing? Do you know where you're going in this life? Do you know what your goals are? Do you know what you're trying to do? Are you confident in that? Because again, then we look for another to define that. And that's a problem, and then we end up stuck, or we use excuses as to why it's either not working out, or why, this is a history of something in our ancestry. And for me, it's like at any given point, we could break the ancestral curse. You know what I'm saying? It starts with us. So
Absolutely.
Anything that our parents didn't do, or, because for me, it's like things that my grandmother did. She was married for 65 years. My mother broke that curse. I'm like, somebody got to get that curse back. Somebody can stay married for that long. It can't happen. But it's just to say there's some things that, we have been handed down that are strong and show strength of love. And I think we just got to get back to having those discussions with each other that might be hard. Sometimes, like, you move in with somebody and we had no idea if I even thought of you as marriage. Why not? Why didn't we think about that? That don't make at this age.
Jasmine just mentioned, she was like, we have to openly discuss the intent of the relationship. Now, I want people in my comments. I mean, there's a few people watching live. Be honest. How often do you guys have those conversations? Like,
you can't. I mean, when you're moving into a space with somebody, like that has to be the conversation, right? Like, absolutely. I mean, and for me personally, after my divorce and I started dating with intention, but that's another show, and we'll talk about that another time. We had the conversation like, okay, so we're moving together. What are we doing? Am I moving into your place? Are you moving to mine? Are we getting a new place? Are we bringing new energy, old energy? Like, what are we doing? Because those intimate and transparent conversations, they might hurt because you never thought about them, but it's not personal and it's not about you. It's about what we're trying to build here in terms of a partnership. Like, can you deal with my shit at 4 o'clock in the morning? I'm a night owl. You're early bird. Okay, fine. Are we going to meet in between to at least have dinner together so I can actually see you, and then go from there? So we have to have the hard conversations, and we have to also understand the hard conversations don't mean our relationship is over. It does not. It's actually a building block. It's actually a building block. And if we condition ourselves to have the constructive conversations, we won't see the demise of a lot of relationships who are leaving and breaking up for petty reasons, myself included. Right. If there were certain conversations that I had during my marriage at the time, I probably wouldn't have got married, number one. And number two, I probably wouldn't have gotten divorced. But I didn't have those conversations. Whereas this time around, there ain't no plan B, baby. Like, we here for the long haul. Let's have it. You can sleep on the couch. I'll be in the other bedroom, but we're not leaving until we figure the shit out. Now, if a result of said conversation is we decide that we're not going to do this anymore, then that's cool too, right? But we've had the conversations. I love you. I appreciate what you did for me at the time and in the space that you were in, and it's time for us to move on. Absolutely. And that's just what it is.
Good point. Good point. Thank you so much, Wes. I mean, I appreciate you coming on, giving some real, knowledge and really perspective, because you're the only person in a relationship on the panel.
Really? Oh, wow.
The rest of these,
okay.
We're all single. So you're in a relationship and you're the only, male voice. So you're really bringing a lot of great perspective into this.
Okay.
But one of the things.
Listen, I'm trying to give it an objective perspective. Because Krystal's been laughing this whole time, so she's been like,
I'll laugh easily.
Okay, all right.
So one of the Jamie's back, but one of the things I did want to talk about, because we need to be optimistic, right? Because I don't want it to just because the whole point is to inspire and aspire couples, singles, to really look at how to use this coronavirus in this time of COVID to make things better. You know what I mean? What are the small steps and changes that can be made to make the intimacy better? And I really appreciate everything that Krystal has provided this evening, because she did a really great job breaking down the steps. Krystal, do you want to just do another quick round robin of some of the things people can do to increase intimacy, whether they're single or in a relationship?
Well, I'm really in agreement with Jamie. Like, I think you really have to, this is a time that we really need to tap into where we are as individuals and where we want to go moving forward. A lot of reflection, self-reflection. And then, because your relationship is always going to be a mirror for you, and it's just going to reflect back to you whatever issues or the things that you like you have. So really think about, where do you want your life to go? What authentic meaning do you want to have? Are you being your most authentic self? And then from there, allow your desires to come up and try to align the patterns that you do day to day with that, with your desires, what makes you feel good. And if you're already in a partnership, talk about those things, express those things. I really think cultivating intimacy is about authenticity. And so if you can't be authentically yourself, how are you going to connect? How is the person going to connect with you? Because you're not really being you. And also when you're your most authentic self and you're not afraid to be all of who you are and express as much as yourself as you can, especially in intimate relationship, it creates a space so that the other person wants to do the same. They feel more comfortable because like, oh, this person just expressed something that I would have been scared to express. Like that took a lot.
Uh-oh, looks like Krystal.
Judgment is not likely to be there. Especially if you're coming from a sincere place. So again, there you're cultivating intimacy. So this is a great time to not just go through the motions, but really think about, what is it that I really, really want? Obviously, the world could end tomorrow. So, like literally, it really could. So
you could get coronavirus. It's just crazy right now.
Anything could happen. So this is not a time to take, lightly. It's time to really get serious. And so that's why I'm with Jamie. Like it's really that time to explore the depths of your souls and your desires and get comfortable with expressing that, living that, and then sharing that within your relationship.
I think this meme fits what you said perfectly.
Yeah, that's real.
This is a time of social distancing, self, because at the end of the day, we are reflections of God. We are blessings from God. And whether it's, setting our intentions, doing the work, taking notes, whether it's, doing the self-care, having the communication, we need to start with ourselves first. And we have to set that path in motion. And I just want to really, thank you guys for joining me today. My friend Edith, she wanted to thank us for our energy. She was really excited about the conversation. And of course, I'm always going to encourage people to spread the love. We gotta, follow, share, repost, and tag, because that's how we start, building community, sharing ideas, sharing perspective, and just keeping the favor train going, because at the end of the day, we're all favored. Right?
Amen.
Highly. Highly.
Highly favored. Highly favored.
Yes, and the things that we want out of life matter. Our emotions, our feelings, the things that we're feeling deeply, they matter. Like, don't brush them under the rug. There's a reason why you want what you want. Don't be afraid to go after them, express them, share them. Yeah.
So I just want to close things out with a round robin, just to kind of everybody, I want to, kind of have everybody have a last little comment. But first, before I do that, I want to share Johnny's comment, because he is giving Wes a special shout out for holding it down for the men. And I really do appreciate that, because, sometimes it's hard to find men to talk about these things. Right? Krystal, it's hard to find men to talk about these things. So first of all, much respect to you, Wes, because you are holding it down. And anytime you want to come on, you could join me. I'm always, changing up the topic every Wednesday at 7:30, because I do need a male perspective. And any other men, Johnny, if you want to come on, just hit me up. I'll have you on, because you're entertaining. So I think Jamie, if you could just, I just want to go around. Jamie, any last thoughts? How you think COVID is going to end for you, as far as the intention you want to set?
My intention I don't really know what the end of COVID looks like personally, per se, or a lot of this right now. I think right now it's just really trying to tone in on my balance, because a lot of the external from what's going on with COVID and just, Black Lives Matter, our process as a people, our steps that we need to be taking next. And, it's kind of heavy. And I do have, like I said, I have a kid. So, and I'm, kind of maneuvering through how to enlighten and keep her elevated and balanced through it also. So it's like, it's a balance. My intentions right now are to stay balanced, and I mean that internally and externally, to not let too many things get me where I tip too far to the left, tip too far to the right, because I think right now we're being called to really our highest regards to everything is being called. Nothing is to be taken lightly. Nothing is to be taken, prematurely. I think we need to do the work and make sure we're in alignment with what's happening right now, and then proceed.
Absolutely.
So that's where I'm at.
You always coming with the powerful words, Jamie. You know that. I love it. I love it. I love it. Wes, I want to like, pass the baton over to you and, share some wisdom, but then also set some intentions.
So this whole time of COVID has been full of intentions for me. It's been intentful to be restful, because we push and push and push. We go. We work 40 to 60 to 80 hours a week, and we don't get a chance to rest, right? And I'm realizing that a lot of African Americans in my community personally, this is the first time they're actually getting consistent sleep, right? So their mind is off. They're getting some rest. So rest has been important to me. Number two is being vocal about my intentions, my success, and who I'm going to bring along with me on that ride. Like right now, food and wine are my passion, and they have been, and I'm really putting it out in the universe and trusting God to guide me and bring me in people who are going to help me build what I want to build with my legacy. So that's number two. Number three, being an example for my son and my daughter. This has allowed me to listen to them. And I think a lot of times as parents, and Jamie, you might, I'm not sure how old your children are. My son is 14 and my daughter is 10. I take for granted their voice in this time. And they have a very unique perspective that we don't have as elders. And I think sometimes we need to bridge that gap between, the generation X and Y and Z and so on and so forth. And that's important. So I really have been trying to be in tune with my children. My daughter specifically, she's a young woman. I'm a man. And she has to see from my eyes what we're going through as men, but also to understand that her role as a woman has value. So that's also important. And last but definitely not least is to be quiet. A lot of the answer that I've gotten from God, through nature, through the universe, have been when I've been silent. And I think that because we are all home, we are socially distancing, it has forced us to be in a space of serenity. And I appreciate when it comes to like 12:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm probably going to bed at like 4:35 because I've put in hours of just being silent and just listening to my thoughts, trying to get my creative juices going. So for those of you out there who need a time to just be quiet and be still, listen, that there's a moment in time that we have right now that we're not going to get again. Krystal said it earlier. We're in a space right now where we have to be quiet so we can listen to other things happening that we've been avoiding for years. Intimacy, financial freedom, sex, talking to God, whatever it is. This silence right now is saying a lot to us, but you have to be silent. You have to be silent and still to listen to it. So those are my 4 or 5 key points for everybody.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Wes. Those are great points. Very thorough. It took everything into perspective as far as what we covered today. And Krystal, of course, last but definitely not least, because you are my featured guest tonight. So any last thoughts of what intentions you're setting as you go into post-COVID?
Oh, I thought I was through about last thoughts, but intentions for me specifically is to have fun. I'm like with Jamie, like I'm all about long-term relationships. I'm a hopeless romantic, but I've been married. I was married for almost 15 years. And it wasn't a terrible marriage or anything. We just kind of grew apart. And I've been a stay-at-home mom for most of my adult life up until now, even though I had, educated, thought I was going to go off and have this great career and stuff. And I still am, because I've got some opportunities coming up just in a different way. But I'm just ready. I feel like I'm in my 20s again. I feel like I'm about to graduate from college. I just got divorced. And so I'm about to move to New York. And it's like, okay, I'm embarking upon a new place where I know what I want. I know what I don't want, and I'm just a little bit more clear, but there's this youthful energy and excitement about, even though there's so much crazy stuff going on in the world, there's also a lot of opportunities, and I've studied, I've been a yogi. I felt weird most of my adulthood. I'm like, oh, people need me now. So yes. So it's like, I feel this excitement, this new kind of confidence in my womanhood. And so I'm ready to have a lot of fun and experience a lot of pleasure, because I know how important that is for me to be able to give, to do all the serious work that needs to be done, to show compassion and hold space for people, let them unpack a lot of heavy things, but also to do it in a light, fun, kind of urban way for our community and for the rest of the world, because we as Black people hold value for other cultures. Like, we're not just meant to be tolerated. Like, there's a true gift in our, the depth of our essence that we have to give. Yes. And so I'm just really excited about just enjoying life and really stepping into my own. So my intention is to just run as far as I can with that.
Yes, I love it. I love it. And please keep me in the loop when you move to New York, so we can hang out and we can catch up and we can continue developing this friendship, because I think this is going to be a friendship. I don't think it's just going to end here. And I mean, just to kind of close it out, I totally, second everything you guys say. I think for me, as far as the intentions as I move forward into this next phase is, creating a space for us to share these type of stories, creating a space for us to have these conversations, because I think it's so needed. And I'm always inspired. I get my inspiration from others, so I can sit here by myself in isolation, but when I really thrive and when I really am creative and I feel like I'm doing my best work is when I'm supporting and lifting up other people. And so that's why I created Uncorked and Cultured, is to, have a space where I can bring people together over wine, because, we all like wine. It brings us together. It unites us. And then, of course, having and talking about these real issues to really help inspire our community. So some of the things that I've already talked about how sports athletes, how Black athletes kind of impact our culture. I've talked about how traveling abroad and considering the diaspora as our background, as opposed to just the United States. And I want to continue that conversation with empowering parents to, hold the education system accountable to their kids' needs and desires as Black students, and other topics that I want to continue to talk about. That's around wellness, travel, adventure, of course, wine, and just, celebrating Black excellence. So I want to thank you guys again for joining me. And I'm excited to come to see what you guys manifest after you set the intentions this evening. So keep me posted on that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And for everybody else out there, just thank you so much for joining me. Please keep in contact with me. You can always email me, call me, hit me up if you're interested in learning more about what I do with the wine business, or if you just want to, catch up. So I'm down. I'm always available. And, please be sure to share Uncorked and Cultured with your family and friends. So that way, we can continue to share the wealth of knowledge, aspirations, and, celebrating our culture. I look forward to seeing you guys next week.